Taylor has worked hard this year and has shown progress in all areas. She is a bright spot in the pre-K classroom. And Henry Hoskins is also from the pre-K classroom. He loves to learn, he is friendly and willing to share with his peers. He loves to play with his friends and looks out for other students who may need help. And we're so proud of his progress that he has made this year. And then moving on to our May Teacher of the Month, who happens to be here tonight, Ms. Jan Rivera. Her colleagues report that she has made efforts to improve and enrich the special education preschool class. During the many years she has been at WPES, she organizes events for parents to be involved. She fought hard to start an ITOP program, along with making moves to get the BPI program on its feet. She has been a great asset to WPES, and we will miss her. Her preschool class is amazing. The expectations for the children and the creative ways that she has them learning is so much fun.
Good evening from the middle high school. So we have 2 middle school students of the month, and we also have 2 high school students to recognize for this month. So our first middle school student is June Evans. June's teachers report that she's always willing to work, is kind to everyone, and often helps fellow classmates. She participates in multiple events with the school and really represents what it means to be a pointer. Our second middle school student is Blake Keefe. Blake's teachers report that he works hard, is always mannerable, and shows respect to his teachers and peers. Moving to our high school students, our first high school student was Autumn Treadway. Autumn's teachers say that she's organized, hardworking, always willing to help her fellow classmates, and is an asset to the class. And finally, for our students, Peyton Spencer. Peyton teachers say that she works hard to understand in class, completes all her work, and is self-motivated. And our Teacher of the Month is described by her students as being very helpful with preparing us for the SOL. She's always there for her students. She is kind and helpful. She gets to the point and gets things done. And occasionally she makes jokes. The Teacher of the Month is Miss Nancy Bishop. No, Miss Bishop?
Thank you so much. It's great to hear the amazing things of our students and our staff. So now we will have Dr. Hauser, and she will present our Department of the Month. Go to the podium, please.
So this month, actually we've had many celebrations this month. As you know, last week was Teacher Appreciation Week. But this month, we are recognizing our school nurses. So May 10th was School Nurse Day. And we've also recognized our administrative professionals, both here in the school board office and at the 2 schools. As you all know, Nurse Sal develops quite wonderful relationships with our kiddos and keeps track of their health. But she has also really done some amazing work with having blood drives this year. Which is not easy. There's always a need for blood, and that's been way outside of the normal scope of a school nurse. And the same is true with our nurse, Andy. She has brought the dentist in on several occasions, and recently, well actually now it was 2 months ago, that was recently, we had dental awareness month, and everybody got toothbrushes and toothpaste, and she even was willing to participate in a video about how to brush your teeth with me. So if you can do that, you deserve special recognition. But those 2 ladies are wonderful. As you all probably know, the office staff are really running the show. They're the ones who we can go to with any and all questions. They seem to know everything that's going on. And we couldn't be happier with the staff we have in our schools. The students like them, and so do the staff, teachers, and parents. So we're just thankful for all the work they do and the hours they put in to keep things running smoothly. So this month we recognize our nurses and our administrative professionals.
when I met with support staff at the beginning of the school year, I talked about customer service, and I think our front office staff, being our nurses and our office staff, they provide top-notch customer service, and so we are grateful for what they do on a daily basis. All right, I'm going to skip the next recognition and go and read the list, and then we will go back up. So on May 1st, we recognize School Principals Day. May 5th, we recognize School Lunch Hero Day. May 8th through 12th, Teacher and Interventions Appreciation Week. May 9th, National Teacher Appreciation Day. May 10th, National School Nurse Day. May 15th through 19th, National Education Bosses Week. We're doing that? We also celebrate this month National Physical Fitness and Sports Month and National Mental Health Month. And so now we come to a special time. And we've had many conversations about this list of folks that we are going to recognize. And I think, at first we were kind of concerned, like, what's happening? We got so many people deciding at the same time that they're trying to sleep in a little later next year. But when we looked at the years of service and the commitment to students, and for some of them, not only the students here in West Point, but in other school divisions as well, we really understood that they have served their time and that they have done a wonderful job. And we also know that they are just a phone call away. Because I have had personal conversations with everyone, right, Ms. Redmond, about coming back and volunteering and substituting and being here to provide support. I've talked to Ms. Mason and Ms. Taylor and everybody. Like, I've had those conversations, and so we want to recognize folks for their service to our students and our school community. This is a phenomenal group of folks, and so we want to just take this time to recognize them. So I would ask Mr. Jenkins if you'll come down with me, and we will recognize our retirees. And so first, we will start with Ms. Carol Taylor. And I think it's important to note that Ms. Taylor, this is Ms. Taylor's second time retiring. Ms. Taylor retired from King William Schools, and we were in need of some help. And I knew someone, and I was over special ed at the time, and I was like, oh, maybe if I call her, she might be willing. And so I made a phone call, and she missed working with children. And she said, and I said, well, it's a part-time position for now. And little did I know, we'll turn to a full-time position, and she would be here. She has been right there with in our preschool at West Point Elementary School, and we are so appreciative for everything you've done. So thank you. We are going to get a group picture as well. So, all right. Next we have Mr. Barr. And we've already heard all of the great things about our preschool program and what Mr. Barr has done. When I came to West Point in 2017. I was excited to see Ms. Rivara here as I remember her when I was in school and her children who were in school with me.
Because she was a student.
She was a student.
At some point. Yeah.
So thank you so much for all that you have done here in West Point. We appreciate you, and we will see you next year.
Okay.
Our our music department will not be the same. Because Redmond has put in a number of hours. She has always prepared those little ones for middle school, high school, and she has been a true part of the team, and we are appreciative for all your years here. And I've already talked to you, and you're going to be right here. You're not really going anywhere.
Don't recall me.
Miss Mason. So something special about Miss Mason is when Miss Mason first started here in West Point, she was a classroom teacher. And last year, when Miss Ball moved up, kind of sort of the last minute, moved up into her role as assistant principal, we needed an elementary teacher, but we wanted to make sure that our first graders had someone that could provide them with the best instruction possible. And so someone said, "I'll do it," and did an amazing job. Ms. Mason did an amazing job with that. She has been a top-notch interventionist, and we appreciate all that you have done. Thank you for your years in service to West Point, and we will see you again next year. Walking it out. But they could not have done it without an amazing teacher. And that has been you have put the work in, you have put in numerous hours, and you have been an asset to West Point Elementary School. You are one of the reasons why that school is blue ribbon. And we are thankful for you. We appreciate what you've done. So enjoy your retirement, but we've talked. she even said that she might go to middle school, high school, and sub over there. Mr. Babarji is not here. He is at the regional tennis meet tonight. But I am going to ask him to come to the board meeting in June so we can honor and recognize him in front of the board and in front of the public, because I think that he deserves that. And so next, with 39 years of service. And so, in a small school division, you wear so many hats. In larger school divisions, they have like specialists for this and specialists for that and content leaders. But for us, we don't have those people. But when it comes down to physical education and driver's education and making sure that West Point was always meeting the mark, and that West Point always met the standards from BDOE. She knew the information coming from BDOE before we knew it. She has done a phenomenal job. A few weeks ago, I said, "Hey, Ms. Blake, would you mind going up to the elementary school and doing an observation on the new PE teacher there?" Her response to me, "I would love to do that." And so she did that. Then we had a conversation the other day about what retirement looks like, and retirement looks like coming on back to West Point. So we appreciate you. We are grateful for you. So thank you for all that you have done.
Thank you.
Yeah, so first, Ms. Blake taught me. So, like, I can't believe, like, the time, where it's gone. Like, you look the same. I'm 110 years old, I feel like. But for all of you, just thank you so much for what you've done for our schools. I often say, a culture is always changing, and every day we get a new teacher or a new student, our culture changes. And all of you all have affected our culture from the day you started, every day you came. And it means a lot, not only to the students and your staff and who you work with, but our community as well. And so we know the West Point way is a different way, and we hold ourselves higher to a different standard, and you all have made a big part of that. And so thank you so much for everything you've done for our community, and congratulations, right? Like, you're not retiring, you're moving on to a different part of your lives now, and you've earned it, and it's great that you get to do that, and I'm very jealous. But it's just great to see you all be able to do that, and we just thank you so much for everything you've done. And as Dr. Frazier said, we hope to see you around. It sounds like we might have you on speed dial. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have our presentations. Dr. Daniel and Ms. Gay.
You get to come with me, yes.
Oh, I think you're coming with me too. Not yet? Okay.
So we are blessed at West Point Middle and High School to have phenomenal students and phenomenal teachers leading those students. The other great benefit in West Point is that we are blessed with community partners who are willing to work with our schools and collaborate with our students and really kind of give back to our schools. So there was an opportunity that Ms. Gay coordinated with some folks from the school board office with one of our community partners to give our students an opportunity to have some real world kind of experience, some outside the classroom kinds of experiences. And so Maddie was able to be a part of that. And then I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Gay and let her explain a little bit about what they did.
Okay. Do you want to come up here and help me?
Yes.
All right.
I'll go ahead.
All right. So we got to do some work-based learning in the community this year, and one of our favorite places that we went to was
Anna's
Italian restaurant right here in West Point. And who is our favorite guy there?
Fabio.
Fabio. So, but first, before we made the connection in the community, he came into our classroom where we now have a kitchen, a fully stocked kitchen that we got to use. And what did we make when he came to see us?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so he came and he helped us make pizzas, right?
Yes, he did.
So when Fabio came, he was very energetic, very hands-on. He is so sweet and kind and very giving. He taught us how to roll out the dough.
Yes.
What did we put on next?
Sauce and soda cheese and pepperoni and ham.
Right. He asked us ahead of time what was Maddie and Peyton and a couple of our other friends' favorite toppings, and he brought all of them out in dishes and he showed you how to put them on top.
Yes.
Yep. And then he had pizzas delivered. He said, "You don't need to eat the stuff we touched. I'll deliver some pizzas to your room." So he taught them step by step how to make pizzas and got to interact with each student. They got to make their own pizzas with their own special toppings, and then we did get to eat some and enjoy it. But then he invited us to come visit him.
Yes.
Correct? So this is us on the bus, having a good time. Yeah? So we don't get to get out very often, but when we do, we have a good time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we got to Anna's, and what was the first thing that we got to do?
So we did roll the dough.
The dough, right?
Yes.
So he taught us how to measure them out to make a small pizza, a medium-sized pizza, large, and even an extra large. That was the heavy dough, right? When we made the
Yes.
extra large ones. And then once we formed the dough, we got to mix it up in oil
Yes.
and then stash it away until it's time to cook it,
Yeah.
right? So this is a couple of, this picture is of a student in our class. She did a wonderful job making a small pizza, and then another student on the right helping us. I was helping him form that. And that's Fabio's hands showing us how to do it, right?
Yeah, that's all.
So the picture on the left is showing what we called a really large mixer. It's like, why can't we all have that in our kitchen, right? It would mix it really fast, but that's what they make the dough in. And then you can see on the right the different sizes of the dough circles that form the pizzas. Right? Okay. All right, then, okay, so not only did he teach us how to make the dough, he taught us some other things within the restaurant. So, what are we doing here, Maddie?
So we are doing rolling the silverware.
We are rolling the silverware, and what are we rolling it in?
The napkin.
The napkins, very good. So he taught them how to step-by-step roll forks and knives into napkins. You can tell one of our students in a wheelchair, she's actually in a standing position because that's at a bar level height thing. So it was very accommodating, which was really nice. And Fabio led the whole thing. We really enjoyed that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and then
No.
and then her favorite part, because she loves to chat with everyone, we got to be a hostess and take orders. So we played waitress, waiter, and hostess. And she, Maddie, star of the show, she got to seat her favorite guy.
My favorite Mr. Reese is my best friend.
So one of this was important because we allowed our students to use communication skills, try to remember what people were ordering, or just simple. It was all about communication and talking to people. And I think you really enjoyed that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So what was special about that? What did he make you? What did Fabio make you that was so special that day? Because you didn't want pizza.
Well, my favorite is spaghetti.
Yes. And he made her some spaghetti.
Because I have a braces and I forgot. This thing on spaghetti, I got to finish all of it.
Right. So the most important thing about being out in the community was allowing our students to learn from someone other than me or their mom or dad. So it was a really great experience, and Fabio has been absolutely amazing with working with us. He wants to do more, so he's willing, and we're hoping to take advantage of that and go back and learn some more things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna switch gears real quick. We did something else this year. What did we do?
Special Olympics.
The Special Olympics. So we were very fortunate that we were allowed to hold the Special Olympics here in March. This is just an example of the map and timeline of what was sent to the schools. Each shape on the map is showing different activities that were presented or put out for students to do. So the Special Olympics is designed to, it's an inclusive event that students with disabilities and students without disabilities come together. It is amazing to see. It is so much fun. Lots of happiness.
Yes.
Right? So I just wanted to show you a couple pictures. This is how we started our day. What did we do here? Do you remember?
Yes.
Were we walking through the hallways?
Yes.
And were students lined all the way down the hallway?
Yes.
Yes. So we had the band playing, and we made a very exciting entrance into the event. I was with a celebrity. She definitely gave knuckles and high fives to almost everyone all the way down the hallway.
I love boys.
Oh, wow. Yep. So the cheerleaders, the band, the choir, we had sports teams involved, different clubs, SCA, NHS. We had a ton of people involved in this event, right?
And don't forget, I did my own grandma. She's right here on the picture.
You're right, Gigi was there too.
Yes.
Okay, so when we got out, after we walked through the hallway, we met at the Rock and took a big group picture of the students that are in gray that you see in the pictures. They are considered athletes or buddies. So they work together. They all wear the same color shirts so that no one is different. Everyone works together. And then on the left, you'll see Officer Schramm with Austin. He is lighting the torch, so it's just like the Olympics. Get to light the torch and carry it. In the middle is harmonics. They sang the national anthem for us, which was beautiful. They had no music, well, obviously. Okay, and then that's us on the right, and this sweet girl got to do the athlete oath for everyone. She got to say it into the speaker, and everybody repeated after you, correct?
Yes.
Yes. All right, and one last picture. It's kind of hard to see from here, but these are a couple of the activities that took place What was your favorite? You told me earlier.
Yes. My favorite game is a parachute and go under the tunnels and playing soccer and kind of stuff.
Yeah, and all kinds of. And your most favorite?
Yes.
What was it? Can you tell them?
The dancing.
The dancing. So we had a couple dance parties to break it up. But these activities, if you in the pictures, you'll see students in orange. Those are students that we considered volunteers, and they ran the entire event. So I was just kind of there to keep the flow going, but they ran every event, which was very impressive. It made everyone feel very included, and it was a great day at West Point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you love it?
Yeah.
You want to do it again?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's all we got.
So while West Point led the efforts, Ms. Gay, can you share with the board all the other school divisions that participated?
We had King and Queen came, King William came, and then a school from Middlesex came. So we had a wide range of a lot of elementary students came. We had about 400 total people on the field that day. And thanks to our awesome school board, you guys provided lunch, and that was amazing. So for every student and every adult, which was really cool. That's not something that happens everywhere. So, but yeah, we're hoping next year that we'll get more counties involved, make it even bigger. So,
Great job. Thank you.
yeah,
Very good. Oh, yeah.
You want to do all the talking this time? We'll trade.
All right, so for you that do not know who I am, I'm Wade Smith and I teach third grade at the elementary school, and Jennifer and I will
I'm
be...
Jennifer Gay. I did not introduce myself. I currently teach special education at the middle high school.
We will be administering Summer Academy this year. So to start, just a brief overview. It'll be pre-K through 8 participants, Monday through Thursday from 8:30 to 2:30, June 5th through the 8th, and then 12th through the 15th. 2 weeks for most students, with some of the middle school students attending only 1 week, depending on what they need, if they just needed reading or just needed math. We will have a brief report card at the end that the teachers will send home with them. For K through 2nd, they requested a 1 through 3 scoring, and then for 3rd through 8th, it'll be a 1 through 4 scoring based off of the strands that they're teaching, and the teachers will give a pre and post assessment as well.
Okay, so our pre-K through 2nd, they were selected off of data that was collected throughout the year. And then our 3rd through 8th grade teachers, they looked at the year-long data as well, but also SOL scores. So if kids have a few strands they need to work on, this is considered some type of remediation to help them prepare for the upcoming school year.
So for parent contact, the teachers contacted the parents. They submitted the names of the students that they felt needed to be at Summer Academy. They contacted the parents. We went ahead and tried to wait until most SOL scores were back until selecting the kids, and then letters actually went home today. We're hoping that we get most of them back by Friday, but if we do not get them back by Friday, we will be calling. So we did this last year as well. And then a second letter will go out just telling those kids that plan to come to Summer Academy, who the teacher will be, like what room they'll be in and all of that.
All right, so every morning, teachers will get a attendance slip, and him and I keep data this way so that we know who was here and who wasn't, and we kind of keep track of it. We call the parents, we give about an hour, and then we usually call to say, hey, where are you? Did you oversleep? We need to come get you. What do we need to do? And I mean, typically the attendance we did pretty well with attendance last year, but this is how we keep the data for that.
Yeah, there's only 8 days, so time is precious there. So we're trying to get them in there as many days as possible. We know sometimes that doesn't happen, but just giving a phone call sometimes works. So for the schedule, this will be kind of how the schedule will look. There will be a meal break in there for lunch. There's also a rest break as well that the kids will have. And pretty much everything else is just basic. Like, I know with middle school, they might do like math in the morning, reading in the afternoon, and then switch as well.
All right, so when our expectation is that when they come in, the teachers will do some type of pre-assessment so that they can gauge them on, and the pre-assessment will be based on the SOL strands, which I think we have on the next slide. We basically go through their SOL reports and determine which strands are most important for them to focus on. Anywhere between 2 to 4, depending on the age level, we decide how many strands, and then they create a pre-assessment to obviously see where the kids are the first day, and then we'll give them a post-assessment the last week. Or if they are a student only coming for 1 week, it's like if a student only needs English in 6th through 8th grade, they might attend English in the morning, and in the afternoon for 1 full week, they will get their pre-assessment on that Tuesday and then post-assessment on Friday. Every kid's different.
Yeah, and for K through 2, we have Mrs. Upshaw goes through and just helps us with looking at the year-long data and seeing what those kids need to focus on as well. And then Miss Jan has been great with knowing what her kids need as well. So just looking at this, I know this is kind of a lot, but what we do is we did this last year and we thought it worked well. So we take the SOL data for 3 through 8, and we plug in each child's name for every question that they miss. We have, their name in there. And then we just look at what all the children miss, or most of the children miss, and we highlighted, like the one in red is the one that they definitely need to focus on, because that's something that they missed. The yellows are ones that they should probably also focus on, but sometimes there were like 4 or 5 strands that most of them missed, and with 8 days, like that's just going to be too much. So narrowing it down to 2 or 3 is what's best.
All right, and then at the end, we, as you can tell, we list SOL scores, how many days did the student attend, their pre-assessment and post-assessment score, and then we kind of come up with a percentage to show progress or not. But last year, everyone showed progress.
Yeah, it was good last year.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Any questions?
Is this a free program, or is it something they have to pay for to attend?
It's free.
Okay, good.
It's free.
Lunch is not, but this is free.
Well, that's
Yeah.
And for us, this is also part of our leadership development piece, where we have two really good teachers who are endorsed in administration. And so we give them the opportunity to lead our summer academy program as we're growing future leaders here in the division. They did a phenomenal job last year, and they have now just picked it up, and they are running with it for this year. So we're excited about that. So kudos to you too, and we know that'll be a great program. And also, we know that our retirees may want to go and get ready for work tomorrow. So don't, if you would like, if anyone would like to leave, it's okay. Don't feel like you have.
Maddie's not presenting.
The star.
Maddie, come back here.
But also folks do know that Maddie can be seen on our, she's one of our cheerleaders, she's in our chorus, so she's very involved in school activities. And we want to say special thanks to her mom for just done for bringing her out and just being a great supportive mother.
What he thinks about his oysters.
You're all the
He said you did good and everything arranged.
And I'm glad we only see you tomorrow.
Okay, I'll come tomorrow. Good job.
I guess.
John Bracken saying I was going to go. I didn't know you were. That's funny.
Oh, glad you didn't leave me out.
I know I'm your favorite.
Oh, yeah.
We're not going out. We're not going stuff.
Bye, Miss Lee. Come and see you tomorrow.
Thanks for coming.
I love you.
Hi, Daddy.
See you, Maddie.
Oh, we have a school media center renovation. Thank you.
No, I guess I shouldn't take it personal.
I was going to say, Mr. Lee said, you know.
Apparently they saw the agenda. All right, so I'm going to talk briefly about some renovations we have going on this summer. If you've been in either the high school media center or the elementary media center, it's been due for some updates. Probably more so the high school, middle school media center, but I'm going to go through some plans that we've been able to work through with some different companies and show you how excited we are for what's going to be coming this summer. So first of all, again, trying to be a little more modern and maybe move more from a library to a media center. Have flexible spaces, a little more comfortable seating for folks that, you know, in both of our buildings, the library is like the hub of the building, right in the very center. So have it a little more welcoming. It was on our CIP plan to be done in fiscal year 26, but thanks to some ARPA funds by town council, we were able to move that up a little bit. So our plan is to have everything, both libraries completed by the end of July. If you go in there now, it's kind of a disaster area, but we call it a work in progress. We've got all new lighting. So Chuck Page with Page Electric has done new LED lighting in there. We've worked with Carpet Direct out of Williamsburg to put new carpet in both spaces. And then Total Business Solutions to outfit all new furniture and bookcases and things like that, which I'm going to go through and show you now. So board members, you have a bigger drawing to make it a little bit easier. Sorry, if anybody really wants one, I have actually one up here. But this is essentially what the tentative layout is going to be of the middle school high school. So as they walk in,
I'm a good looking one. You should have Don't act like he wouldn't say the same thing.
Yeah, we're all jealous. So looking at the overall drawing, again, a lot more mobile furniture, a lot more flexible seating. So I'm going to kind of walk through and show you some of the different furniture that we're going to have, but keep in mind kind of this picture as we go through it. So this is again the middle school, high school. As you walk in, we're going to move the circulation desk to the front. So as they walk in, this is what they're going to see on the right-hand side. New chair, we're going to try to keep the color scheme the same. The flooring, the carpet I don't have a picture of, so it's going to be a little bit different than that, but that's essentially what that's going to look like when students and staff walk into the library now. We're also going to have curved seating, so when you go into some more modern libraries, that's kind of the feel we're going for. You can see the bandwidth micron, that's the back of the booth there, and then they're going to have bar stools at the top on the back, so they have a little work area. It's going to kind of be like a gray laminate, as you can see there. The bleach laminate is what it's called. So that's to the left as soon as you walk in, letter C6 on your diagram. All of these shelves, again, some will be mobile, but throughout the whole perimeter, it's going to be new bookshelves. Ms. Berinsky, as much as it pains her, she's been weeding out some of the old books. She told me yesterday she's found one from the 1960s. So just working through that. We've donated a lot to the Historical Society, things from the Chesapeake Corporation and some other things around West Point and King William, so that they can then live on at at the Historical Society, so we're excited about that partnership. So mobile bookcases, again, you can kind of see those in the diagram. G10, they'll be on wheels, so if we put them somewhere, don't like them, we can always move them somewhere else. Once we kind of get into that a little bit more, we're gonna have some curved seating with some curved bookcases. That's B5 on your drawing with some ottomans. Again, those are more mobile, and then have the bookshelves around the back. So Ms. Bernski's excited about that, so she can kind of display some additional books and have some themes centered around these bookcases. As you can see, the color scheme flows throughout. We'll have some booth seating. So that on your diagram is E8. Again, a little more flexible, kind of have more of that makerspace feel. So if kids want to do some hands-on work, puzzles, things like that, they have a little space to go do that. She also was very adamant that she wanted to have some individual seating because some students just want to come in and have some quiet time or an area to kind of work on their own. So we'll have a few seats like this throughout the space. So again, they can work individually, read, do some of that individual type of work. The tables will be mobile, chairs will be mobile, and then as you can see, if you've been in there recently, our instructional area is now kind of right in the center. So we've moved that to the back so we can kind of use that space for multiple purposes at one time. So they can have a class in there, but then still be able to use the front of the library. So all the J13s, that's all of this, student tables and workspaces. Any questions on the middle school, high school?
There was a room that she had a lot of books and equipment in because she had to. I mean, she needed the space. What's happened with that room? Is that?
So you can see, that's a very good point. So you can see kind of right next to H11, between H11 and F9 there used to be a wall. We had a book room there for all of our English classroom,
Yeah.
Novels and things like that. So again, with some weeding out of some different things, we're gonna take that wall down.
Oh, that's great.
And there is an office space there between E8 and H11 that we're gonna make that kind of our English book room now. So we had a lot of titles that had seen better days. So being able to update those, Dr. Hauser's done a great job in there. I was gone for a couple of days, he came back and, you know, she worked pretty hard. I had to say it on camera. But she really worked hard to clean that out. Ms. Bernski's been great, Mr. Metter. So we realized we can utilize that space a little better. Not sure exactly what that's gonna look like until we kind of get that out. So that's why it's kind of blank space now. And we may need some more cabinets, may need some more booths, but we wanna wait until, we kind of get that area.
But it does provide more square footage for our students and our teachers to use the library.
The elementary school will also get a makeover. So not quite as much going in there, but again, the space is a little bit smaller. You can see as they walk in, we're going to put some cabinets in there. They have some storage needs over there for staff books or staff materials, their makerspace things, their care closet items. So as soon as you walk in there to the left, there is G8. So this diagram's on the back of that same paper. Those will all be these laminate storage cabinets. They'll have some rolling bookshelves. So if you have been in there recently, outside the wall with the glass windows, that's where these mobile bookshelves will go. So that entire walkway, as you walk from one hallway to the next, will all be open. So there won't be any bookshelves there. So that makes a nice little path for students as they walk through from one side of the building to the next. Same bookshelves as the middle school, high school. So we'll have that flow from one building to the next. Again, very similar to what we had at the middle school, high school. And this will allow full classes. So you can now fit 2 classes of students in there if you need to. As we talked through with Ms. Britt, and it was important to have some floor space for students to be able to work, and then individual spaces if you wanted to do small group things with a certain amount of students. So this will help with that process. Chairs, very similar, but these will be all blue compared to the middle school, high school, which were gray. Chairs will be tables will be the same on wheels, so they'll be more mobile. And then in the back corner, we'll have a new checkout desk for students to check out their books and work with the librarian outside of that office right there. So our hope is to have books removed, cabinets removed by the first week of June. They'll do paint. Carpet company will come in mid to late June, install the carpet. They said it will take about a week. And then the cabinets and furniture and things like that will be delivered hopefully mid-July. And they said it should take 3 or 4 days to have that all done. And then we'll start putting books back hopefully August 1st. Fingers crossed.
No concerns with the roof project at the elementary school being an issue.
Nope, just that the carpet won't stain now.
So a joy, not a concern.
Yes.
That's great. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Rich. Mr. Walker, I believe you're up next. Safety update.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Chris Walker. I am new to the division as the specialist for transportation and school safety. And so I have the opportunity this evening to present to you an update on the safety standpoint.
So he's new at this. We told him we had his back, and so we had his back. So we will help with any questions that board members might have.
Safety in numbers, right?
That's right.
So the first item is just kind of a review of what was discussed with you all in March and kind of giving you some timelines of things that have already taken place and been completed, and then a timeline of when we plan to have some of these items completed. Hiring a specialist as transportation school safety, that was done in March. We did replace 15 doors at the middle school and high school in April. The window coverings for the classrooms throughout the division were installed in April as well. Today, we even had some discussion about our fencing around the playground for the upper grade levels at the elementary school, and we plan to have that done in July. We also are going to provide CPR training for our cafeteria staff, monitors, and SSO. We plan to do that when they come back to start the school year in August. And then the multi-factor authentication program is kind of what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, is kind of tiered in. And it would be completed around 2023 for one part and then completed in 2024. The next two items that we'll bring up are kind of recommendations that came from the Health and Safety Advisory Committee. The first is mass communication. So one of the items that was brought from that committee is that the need for a mass communication program or system for our division so that we can get in case of emergency, information out to a lot of people quickly and be very efficient in those moments. And so it is our intention and our goal to go with Catapult EMS. This program, as you can see, offers us these 4 components. The anonymous reporting, so a lot of the, similar to the see something, say something. It gives us emergency alerts that can get things out in different forms, text message, email, phone calls, and it can do it very quickly. Emergency management, giving everyone accountability, the steps and process for how we would handle that situation. And then finally, it gives us the parent and student reunification at the end there. And we've included the cost and price, and it's our goal to implement this upcoming year, this program to make sure that it fits and is something that would be good for our division.
So we will move forward with Catapult. We will do the 1 year. We'll do it as a 1 year trial, and then if it goes well, we'll be able to move forward and renew it for multiple moving forward. It is used in Kent schools and other school divisions, and it has great reviews, and so we're pleased with being able to move forward with that.
Will the messaging component replace our existing messaging system?
It will not replace our existing messaging system. We will still.
So this was emergency.
Right. This will be for emergency situations. Yes.
So the contract is just year to year.
Yes. We
Okay.
are a year-to-year contract.
The second recommendation that we're going to talk about that came from the Health and Safety Advisory Committee was Narcan in our school clinics. So through this process, we've looked at the other divisions and their policies for this. We will obviously need to provide training to the necessary staff members and personnel. We would also have to create our own policy and write our own policy for West Point Public Schools and present that to you all for approval over the summer. And then it is our goal and intention to provide 2 doses per school.
And so this is another. This recommendation, we plan to move forward. We have secured, and this was some of the feedback from our last board meeting, to look at some policies from other divisions. So we secured those policies, and now we plan to write a policy. We'll bring that to the board, and then we will move forward with the implementation, with any training that needs to happen, and securing the doses of Narcan to have in our buildings. And we have the support of our town officials, our police department as a support of this.
This slide is going to provide you some data that you can reference prior to us going to the next two slides, where we will talk about some of the canine searches, and then also some topics that have come up in regards to metal detectors and weapon detection. And so this data was just pulled from 2019 to 2023 for West Point schools. And I thought it would just be important for everyone to review this information prior to going into the topics. And this is information specifically to drugs and weapons in the schools. And so that takes us to the first topic here of the K-9 searches. So on April 24th, we had Virginia State Police K-9 teams. They came to West Point High School and Middle School. They searched the parking lots, hallways, and classrooms. During that, we followed our current procedures that are in place. We will take the time to review those procedures and adjust as needed for future searches. And one of the things that, again, we intend to move forward with, and so that we can better that process, is partnering with K-9 Intervention to have them come into our schools so we can at least have a minimum of 2 searches per year. And this would cost us, as you can see, $580 per visit. That would send 2 teams, 2 dogs to our school. It would be a 4-hour visit per visit. And again, our goal would be 2 per year.
That is a minimum. And the reason why we chose to go with the company instead of just relying on the state police is that we can control that a little more. We can control when they're coming in. It still would not be announced, but it's harder to get on a cycle with the state police. And so we feel that this would be the best way. And so this is our intent to move forward with this for next school year.
Was there something in our procedures that stood out to you guys this last time that makes you guys to have a statement that we're reviewing it, or is it just a general blanket statement we're going to review the procedures? Was there something that happened or didn't happen that you feel like we need to adjust, or is this just kind of?
So I think based on feedback, I think that we need to look at the process for selecting classrooms and the number of classrooms that the dogs are searching. I think that we could have done a better job with that. And so in looking at our procedures, we need to look at how many classrooms do we want to search? Do we want to search every classroom? Do you want to search a number of classrooms per hallway? And so we plan to have conversations around what that search would look like, so we can tighten up the process and the procedure.
Were they there for 4 hours on April 24th?
They were not there for 4 hours because we did not use when they were there before, that was the state police that were there, so they were not there for 4 hours.
And how many classrooms were they able to visit? How long were they there for?
That day they visited 2 classrooms. Okay. They visited 2 classrooms and the gym, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And how long did that take them?
I think we were in hold for about a total of an hour.
Did we have to pay the state police for that service?
We did not.
Okay.
So that's a free service.
Yeah.
And then the next item for discussion is there's been discussion around metal detectors versus weapon detection for entering the school building. And so we wanted to provide you all with, obviously we have the 2 options here, but just with the pros and the cons for each. Obviously we got quite a few bullet points and I won't go through exactly every single one of them, but you can see, for metal detectors, the pro here is the cost, $5,000 for metal detectors, and then obviously the units can be they're mobile, they can be moved to different locations. Then some of the cons here, longer time to get students into the building. For this type of system, you have to kind of remove everything out of your pockets, set it off to the side, and then you would then walk through. This would also require 4 staff members per unit. And then staffing units, obviously, throughout different activities. The school day is also kind of a con when it comes to instructional time. Pros for weapon detection: students can walk through with their backpacks, the phones in their pockets. They can move through freely because that system can decipher those things. 2 staff members, only 2 staff members per unit. And then those units are also mobile, can be moved to multiple locations. The cost for those is significantly higher. It's $20,000. And then staffing the units throughout the day obviously are the same challenges that the metal detectors have as well. And so some of the additional guidance that's needed is, metal detectors or weapon detection. So we're having lots of discussion and deciding on where we need to go forward and what research we need for more or something specific. And would you like a survey sent to staff, parents, and students to kind of gather information as we move forward with this? And is there a timeline, or what type of timeline for implementation?
Sorry, I always have lots of questions. Be ready for that. Okay, so question: how many, with our current student population, how many units would we need to get them into the building in the mornings? Like, how many ideally do we need?
So when we first had that discussion, we talked about having at least 2 units in the front of the middle school, high school, and having all students come to those 2 units. And we also talked about needing at least 2 units, if not 3, at the elementary school, because looking at the elementary school, you have the car riders that will go in the back of the building, and usually students go through 2 entrances in the front.
And do our staff members have like morning duty? Is that a thing?
Staff members
at the high school, maybe?
Depends on their planning time. So typically, if they have like first period planning, they may come out to assist with car rider drop off or sometimes student parking lot.
So it wouldn't be all of a sudden some sort of crazy idea to have 2 or 4 staff members monitoring that as a morning duty? Or do we think that would be something that they would push back on?
There would probably be some pushback depending on like schedules and how the master schedule worked out and planning times and stuff like that. But there's not a lot of regular duties assigned to staff currently.
And I would also say, based on conversations from our regional superintendents meetings, the other pushback from staff is just their comfort level of being responsible for students going through metal detectors or weapon detectors. Some staff members they're just not comfortable with that. So, and that is not to say that we can't do it, and I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm just saying that is just general conversation.
And then, of course, we do have our school security officers and our SROs as well, which I assume will be part of the process.
Absolutely.
I like the idea of the surveying. I think in particular, staff and parents should be surveyed. I don't know that I have an opinion about the students, but I think staff and parents should get an opportunity. The other question I have is, where is the money going to come from? But I always have a question.
So based on the timeline for implementation, we can apply for the safety grant that comes up through DOE and see how much we're allotted from that grant, and then that will help determine where the cost is coming, where the money's coming from.
Is that a newer grant in response to recent events, or is that something that's always been?
That is something that's always been, and so we usually receive the safety funds from the safety grant this year, each year. We've been able to do things like cameras, we've been able to do things like our buzzer systems into our buildings. We were able to replace locks throughout the division, so we typically get funds from the DOE for safety.
With implementation on either of these systems, would you be looking at or modifying the sort of procedures for securing the other points of entry? And Alex, this is only going to be effective if they only come through those doors.
Absolutely, and so we also have to then make sure that our staff members are coming through those doors, but our staff members are walking, are following the protocols just like our students would. Also, in conversation, we've talked about there are some schools or some school divisions who students will only come through them first thing in the morning. But later in the day, if a student comes to school late, they're not going through the metal detector or the weapon detector. I don't think that's wise. Also, when you look at the metal detectors, because it takes so long in the process, you have schools that have piloted programs where they were at like every 5th student will go through the metal detector. Well, that also could potentially be a problem because it might be student number 4 that has something. And so we would look at all of those procedures, all of our processes when going through implementation.
Personally, I think the weapon detection is the ideal one, and this is my personal opinion. Requires the staff, it'd be faster for the students to go through, so it would not be too burdensome for everybody. That would be $100,000 for 5, is what you said we need, right? At minimum. And currently, so
and also I think there needs to be some wiggle room in the pricing, as so many schools are looking at the same thing. Prices can change.
Yeah.
But at this point, we're looking for guidance from the board as to what you all would like us to spend the time researching. If the board says right now that we don't feel like metal detectors are the thing, that we want you want to direct the administration to start looking and peeling back all the layers possible for weapon detection, then that's what we want. That's what we want to know from the board. And so not a hard yes on this is what we're going to do, this is when we're going to implement it, but where would you like us to put our time and energy? Which of the two?
So I would vote for the weapon detection and implementation to be the start of the next school year. That would be ideal, given current events that take place. I just don't think that we can delay making sure that our students and staff are safe. So that's where I stand on it.
Yeah, I mean, of the options presented, I definitely think the weapons detection, for me, I think is going to be the most effective, taking into account the FTE, the staff, and actually not really impacting why the students are there. I think that seems to be the most effective. I think to reiterate though, I definitely don't want it to be that we're trying to throw a Band-Aid on a situation without looking at the whole thing. I want to definitely make sure we're looking at systems across the board.
Absolutely.
Do students and staff all come in through about the same doors now, or can staff use other side doors with their badges, and then but all the students go in through the 2 main doors, or is there? Yeah, that's how it is. Okay.
Staff, there are some exterior doors that have swipes, so the staff can enter those doors.
Are those do we have times on those, so you can have them not work after a certain time or not work until a certain time?
They can be set that way, yes.
Do any of these companies that provide these systems provide consulting or an assessment of this is your community, this is your schools, this is what's going to be best for you, rather than us try to be experts on this and just take a guess?
We have not asked that question, but we can.
I think that's important to look at. I think surveying the community as well, and I would say we probably need more data than guess what was shared tonight. I think getting specifics around crime and weapons, I think that's part of the assessment. I would assume that's part of what any consultant would want as well. But I think like what Mr. Evans is saying, like we want our students to be safe, right? But I think we have to go about it in a smart way. We have to make sure we know everything it's going to take to do this. And I don't think starting at metal detector versus weapons is the starting point. I think we've got to take a step back and look at the bigger picture to get to that point if we're going to make that type of decision.
I don't know that looking at crime statistics is a clear indicator of what child is going to bring a gun to school and then choose to shoot his teacher with it. I don't think that is a clear indicator of what we are seeing in the news. So I hear what you're saying, but I don't think that looking at the crime stats for West Point, which we all know what they're going to come back as, right? We all know what they're going to come back as. I mean, they gave us the data on the number of incidences in the school. It only takes one kid coming, or adult coming to the building and choosing to kill people. It only takes one. We don't need statistics. Sorry, we just don't. We're not in that world right now. We're in a world where there's no telling who is going to do this. So we can ask if there's consultation. Obviously, we need to make sure that, we don't put a Band-Aid over something, but that elementary school had metal detectors. If that bill had passed last year in the General Assembly, where all schools were required to have metal detectors, perhaps that teacher that many of you guys know and are friends with would not have been shot. That's the reality. So I don't think that this is like we need more data on crime statistics. Maybe we need more information about how can we properly implement a weapons detection system. What kind of door, do we need to not seal off, but make sure nobody can go in through these doors, and maybe you survey staff and parents and see how they feel about it. But crime statistics, in my opinion, it's a viewpoint. This isn't a crime issue. This is something else. This is something else. And as a teacher, I can tell you, and I'm sure other teachers agree, we are well beyond, what are the crime statistics in your neighborhood when we're talking about school shootings and the safety of our staff and our teachers and our students.
Yeah, I don't think I was trying to insinuate that our statistics would say we don't need a weapons system. All I'm saying is if you're going to assess a situation, you need to know the full picture. Like, I don't think anyone's going to say, no, we don't need this. Like, we want it, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think this board is all of a sudden a subject matter expert on weapons system. And so my point is that, like, we need to study this more.
Well, yeah, I think get more information about the weapon detection system, specifically what kinds of things do we need to have in conjunction with it, what doors need to be, for lack of a better word, sealed off, what time of day, everybody comes through this door after this time, that sort of thing, absolutely. I mean, I think that goes hand in hand with any system that you implement. When we put in the cameras and the buzzer system, right? Like, it wasn't just, put these in. You had some sort of protocol and procedures in place for it.
Any other thoughts from board members on metal detectors versus weapon detection?
Do you have enough direction here tonight?
I believe what I'm hearing is for us to look further into metal detectors, look further into weapon detection, and to start building and working through plans for weapon detections. So at this point, we're going to take metal detectors off the table and focus our time on weapon detection and look at all of the pieces that go along with metal detection for our schools. Weapon. Didn't I tell you earlier to make sure I got that straight? So that's what I'm hearing. Ms. Sturts, I heard what you said with implementation. I would like to be able to implement by that time. But we also know, especially when I'm saying that we're talking about applying for state funds and state grants, that we may not be able to get it in place by that point. But we will look at all the pieces to see what can be done.
I would just add one thing to Mr. Jenkins' point too. As you're talking with these companies, they may be able to give you feedback of, is there a way to do an analysis of where are your most vulnerable spots, where are your soft spots, where are your systems modifications that you could make as part of this implementation too.
Okay. And I'm also hearing that the board would like us to move forward with conducting a survey of staff and parents.
Yes. I think there's an and that I have with that. Would it be better to get a little more information so that you didn't have to do a large survey, but could modify the survey a little bit and maybe be a little clearer with that, with the questions? I don't know.
I agree, because I think, like, we're not waiting for survey data to make this decision,
Exactly.
right? I think the more we know about what we're gonna implement and what we wanna install and put, the better position we'll be in to understand. And like you were saying, whoever sells these and implements them probably has a lot of feedback that we could use. That when it comes time, then maybe, I think surveying is probably more for marketing and awareness. So I wouldn't say you wait to survey before doing your research. I don't think that's part of it.
If that's the case, I don't really see the point of doing a survey. Like, I feel like if we're doing a survey, we're doing it to see what the community wants or doesn't want from the start. But if we're doing it as a means of, hey, we're bringing awareness to you that we're doing this, then a survey wouldn't be necessary. I mean, I'll be quite frank. I mean, I'm all about hearing from constituents and being transparent and open, so I'm just gonna be transparent and open. I would be hard pressed to change my mind that we should have weapons detection in our schools. So even if 100% of the parents came back and said, no, I'm not gonna vote against that. So I'm not sure, I mean, I don't know what we would be looking for specifically in a survey to staff and parents, unless you guys feel that that would sway you, and then by all means you can send a survey out, or if we're looking for guidance on which direction to go. Otherwise, I think it's just, I don't think it would be a fruitful use of our time.
Maybe it's a communications issue for me. I just want parents and staff to, I don't think anybody's gonna have that hard a time understanding why you do what you're doing. But I do think communications around it's really important, because it is gonna impact everyone. And I don't know what that looks like.
Right, and so I think what the administration can do is look at communications around the topic to just get feedback, but not necessarily looking to collect data in a way that's going to help the board decide if they're going to implement or not. But to get feedback from families to know what are the concerns? What are the concerns that are out there around weapon detections in our community? And so once we get that, once we find out what the concerns are, then we might be able to do some things to help calm some of the nerves or some of the fears, but not necessarily putting a survey out to say, what percentage of their community supports it versus the percentage that does not. Okay, I think we can do something like that. So we will solicit feedback, and we will focus our time on researching and getting more information around weapons detection, and looking at our procedures for implementation of weapon detection. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Walker, you made it for your first one.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. So I am here with the proposal for our 23-24 federal programs applications. This is our first step in the process. This is an ongoing process. We have advisory committees for all of our federal programs applications. We meet multiple times a year. We develop goals. We collect data on how we're doing with our goals. We meet with our stakeholders to include parents, our Title I teacher, our administrator. We look at data to see how we're moving forward with our goals all year long. We come together, we decide on if we've met our goals and what our goals are going to be for the next year. Our Title I consolidated application includes focus on math and on reading. It also includes information regarding our frontline system that we've been utilizing for teacher observations. Our Title III goal includes information and supports for our EL students. Our Title IV is included in our consolidated application, but we transferred our funds this year over to Title II to support the frontline management system that we implemented. So in your packet, you have the Title I consolidated application that looks like this. You can unhinge your clip and we're going to start at page 1. I'm just kidding. But it is the purple copy. And that again includes Title I, Title II, and Title IV information. The green copy is the Title III application, so that one is a separate one. I have just an executive summary organized to go over the highlights. So we'll go through that. So West Point Elementary School is our school-wide program. It's determined by our free and reduced lunch numbers and our program needs. Title I is based on improving academic achievement for disadvantaged students. The great thing about being a school-wide program is we are able to target all students in our school and not just a specific subset of students. So that is wonderful for our students. The final allocations for Title I funds has not been released. It's due to be released in June. So the application that you see when you go through it, you will see numbers that reflect last year's allocations. And then what will happen is I will do an amendment once we get the final allocations and update those and propose the new allocations to BDOE. So the funding structure, how we're proposing to use our funds has not changed from last year. We're a very, as you know, small division, and the support that we receive from our Title I teacher is just crucial in how we're able to run our intervention groups. And we believe the funding that we use for that position is vital in order to support that. So that's how we're continuing to propose using the funds, is the teacher salary and benefits for that position. As you all know, Kate Upshaw is moving on to new and exciting opportunities, but Betsy Farmer, who is a reading specialist and has all of her qualifications to meet what's necessary for this position, is excited to move into this role. She's been with us for a very long time, and so we are excited to have her on the team. The roles and responsibilities for the Title I teacher you'll find listed on page 8 of the application if you're interested in looking specifically at how that Title I teacher supports the program. The Title II funds, which have to do with preparing, training, recruiting high-quality teachers and principals. Again, it's the same story with the funds and the allocations. So we're using the numbers that were proposed to us last year, and then I will do an amendment when the final funds are released. The funding structure, again, has not changed. We have a Title II administrator for instruction and student interventions. Those funds go to support her salary and benefits. That administrator is Lynette Waddy, and she is invaluable in helping the Title I teacher to organize the data meetings that are held trimesterly in order to bring the teachers together to look at growth assessment data, the DIBELS that we're collecting, Saxon data, SOL data, change kids into intervention groups as needed based on the progress that they're making. She assists in collecting that data and organizing that for us. She also helps with getting materials together and working with a Title I teacher to make sure that the students have what they need in terms of consumables and materials and things like that. So she's a great support to our Title I program. Again, you'll find all of the particular amounts very close to the front of the application when you start to go through that. And then 21st Century Schools is our funding allocation is often $10,000 just based on the size of our school division. That's what we have historically received in the past. We are again proposing to transfer the Title IV funds to Title II so that we can continue to sustain what we've started with the frontline management system and the teacher observations, in addition to the administrator observations. We've just started to get that program, off the ground and going this year. We're working out the kinks in terms of getting in and using it, and the teachers getting used to how to view their reports, acknowledge those things. And so we believe that it has been very beneficial in giving timely feedback, intentional feedback about teacher performance, what's going well in the observations, learning opportunities. It's a great way for administrators to communicate back and forth about what's being seen in the classroom. There's also other components that go along with Frontline Central that's allowing us to branch out into bigger things. So we would like to propose and the board to consider for us to be able to transfer those funds into Title II. And then for our Title III language instruction for English learners, there are no changes from the previous allocation. The funds have been allocated, so the final number that you do see, which is approximately $1,500, is on one of the first pages of the application. Our allocation increased by $22 this year, and the funds go to support our EL teacher and tutor in his delivery of EL services and supports to families. Our goals are target family engagement events and increasing our students' WIDA scores, which is a assessment that's done at the beginning of the year and the end of the year so that we can see how they're doing in various areas of language development. And then we would be looking at you all having the opportunity to look through and if you have any questions at the next board meeting, and then potentially being able to put that in for approval to BDOE at the next board meeting, if possible.
How many ESL students do we have?
We have 8 that receive direct services, and then we have students that are also on monitoring status, which means that once they have reached a level of 4.4 on their WIDA assessment, we monitor them for 2 years.
Thank you,
Great.
Ms. Brooks.
Sure, thank you.
Next up, we have policy updates.
All right, so I received a few questions from the certs earlier, well, one yesterday. I have not received any other questions or feedback. So it's up to the board if we're ready to move policies to, if there's any discussion, or we're ready to move policies to an action item.
Does anyone have any discussion? Anyone would like to motion to move these to an action item?
I have some discussion. So the questions I posed to Dr. Frazier, I will say them out loud. So for the evaluation of the superintendent, the last bullet point is to add in an evaluation of cultural competency. And my question was, what is our definition of that? I couldn't find it anywhere in our current policy. I hesitate to have that listed as what we're evaluating somebody on when we don't actually have it defined on what it is. So that's my issue with that one in particular. I don't know if we just want to do, I have 3 total, so I don't know, y'all just want me to rattle them off or, yeah, okay. Management of funds. I thought the previous wording seemed fine. There was no new codes that came about to change the wording. And I think that it gives too much blanket authority to the superintendent when it's the school board's ultimate authority to be responsible for funds. Because it says, the superintendent may be authorized was the original phrasing, and it's going to change it to is authorized to make line item transfers within budgetary categories. I just think I don't think we should have a blanket statement like that. I think it should still say may be authorized, and then that leaves some discretion with the school board. In the end, we are the ones ultimately responsible for how things are spent. So that's that issue. And then the last one is the school activity funds. It's removing the line that says, it is the responsibility of the superintendent to ensure school activity funds are being appropriately used and managed. And I'm not quite sure why we need to remove that, because to me, that seems like a legitimate thing that the superintendent should be responsible for, the oversight for the principals. It goes down the line. So I'm not really quite sure. Again, there was no, I looked at all of these legal references. There was nothing that got passed or that's imperative to why we're changing that. It just seems almost arbitrary to change the wording, and I'm not quite sure why. So those 3 in particular, I would not want to adopt those policy changes.
Any other discussion?
I think to your question around the cultural competency, I think that's something that I think we've already identified that we're going to be sort of working through defining organizational culture a little bit more detailed as we move forward. I think that will also evolve. I understand the question though, as far as what's the basis for evaluation.
And so that piece has been added to the Code of Virginia to say that is a component of the superintendent's contract, of the superintendent's evaluation. But as I shared with Ms. Sturts, like that can be part of our work to come up with a true definition. The leadership and the leadership team and the board can work together collaboratively on what that definition is. But I do believe that is a required component.
So is there these are understudy, is there a pressing need to take action tonight on policies, on specific policies, or is this something we need to discuss more?
The board can definitely continue to study. I will just say that we've been studying, they've been understudied for quite some time, and at some point I do think we need to move forward, as we will soon be coming up with the next policy updates from VSBA. And so, as staff then is working through that, I don't want us to get a backlog on policies, and I know that, there were a couple of policies in that are in that stack that we wanted to be able to move forward with, as we've had some situations that those policies could have been helpful.
So is it possible for us just to, well, one, I mean, I'm open for having discussion on them, but is it possible for us, if we're not ready to have that conversation, just to pull out the ones in question and just vote for the ones not in question to add to the policy?
That is possible.
So I'd say first we need to have a motion to move the policies to an action item, if that's something we want to take tonight.
So moved.
So we have a motion to move the policies to an action item. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All that oppose? All right, so the motion carries. So we now have the policy recommendations moved to an action item.
Mr. Chair, I would suggest that we go ahead and take care of this now, so we don't get further in the agenda and forget what we're doing.
Right. So we're gonna do them
So,
now.
right, instead of waiting
and
until
not
we
putting
get,
it till action.
until we wait till the end
I
of
got
the
you.
action items, I say let's go
Okay.
ahead and.
We had just the strategic plan.
So I would,
study. So
I,
you want us to take care of this now.
I would recommend us taking care of, if we move into an action item, us taking care of this action item now. So getting a motion to approve.
Right, so you want that, then we'll continue the item
Right,
under study, the strategic plan, and then.
I think while it's fresh, let's.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. So do we have a motion to approve the policy recommendations as submitted?
Or do you have a motion to approve certain policies? Do you want to pull those 3 policies? So then that would be the motion. The motion would be to pull those 3 policies as suggested by Ms. Sturts.
Yes, I move that we pull CBG, DA, DFG from the vote, sorry, wording is here, and simply vote on the remaining policies to be adopted.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
I know, I'm sorry.
Okay.
CBG, DA, DFG. Like I don't know my alphabet.
DGC.
Yeah, DGC.
School activity plan. Right, school activity first.
DA and
the first
CBG.
The first 3 policies.
Okay. So we have a motion to accept policy recommendations as submitted, except the first 3.
Yes.
Right, okay, do we have a second? Second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose, motion carries. We have most of your policies.
Okay. And so then we will take those other 3 policies and we'll put those back under study and receive feedback from the board before we move forward.
All right. Now back to the last item under study, the strategic plan.
And so as part of our board retreat, some things from strategic, the presenter gave us some things to think about when thinking about our strategic plan. And so I included the strategic plan in as an item under study, as something for board members to be reviewing as we look to plan a session over the summer. I also had a conversation with the Berkeley Group, which the Berkeley Group is a consulting group that does a lot of work around strategic plans and helping school divisions and local governments with strategic plans. And so I had a conversation with them, and they have some ties to our community about coming in and maybe doing a work session with board members and leadership to help us as we look to just tighten up our strategic plan. I was hoping that I would have their proposal by tonight to be able to provide the board. I've not received it. So I don't officially need a vote on that, but I wanted to provide that information. And so if it's okay with the board, when I receive that information, I can provide that information to the board, and I will let you know if I then recommend that we move forward. Of course, it will be based on pricing. If I feel like the pricing is something that we can do, or we would use professional learning funds to do it. But I think based on that conversation, I think it's always good when you have an external party that can help guide some of those conversations and to help us as we do some of that cultural work that Mr. Evans has talked about as we just tighten up our plans. I was very impressed with the meeting that I had with the Berkeley group. And they've done some of the same work with school divisions, but for us it would be something on a smaller scale because we had a good framework. We have a good framework with our strategic plan, but it just needs to be tightened up a little bit.
All right, so action items. First up, we have expenditures and revenues. A motion to approve our expenditures and receive our revenue reports.
So moved.
I have a first. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, motion carries. Also, next up, consider approving our cafeteria expenditures. We have a motion to approve the cafeteria expenditures.
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All that opposed, motion carries. Next, personnel. Do I have a motion to consider the personnel recommendations?
And so on your personnel report, that's the resignation,
Summer Academy.
Summer Academy, yes. Appointment of one support staff, yes.
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, motion carries. Last action item are tuition student requests. We have a motion to approve the tuition student requests.
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion?
I do. So I addressed this concern with Dr. Frazier, looking at the sixth grade, or rising sixth grade and rising 10th grade. Those are our two largest classes currently. And so I did raise a concern about the rising sixth grade, adding the additional student would bring them, they're currently at 70 students. That would bring them to 71. And then the 10th grade is currently at 81 students. And so that would bring them to 82. My concern is, I guess a kind of a follow-up question is, what would that make our class sizes, especially, high school, I know you maybe can have a higher capacity, but what would that make our class sizes? Because I know that 5th grade currently this year struggled with having that many students. One of the reasons why West Point is great is because we have a really good student to teacher ratio. And so my concern is when we have classes that are 70, 80 students, especially that 10th grade class, I think that's a little concerning, so.
Dr. Hauser, if you want to, since you've led the tuition process.
Yes, and we're in the middle of the tuition process actually. So today is just our first batch we're asking for approval, and then we'll have another batch in June and July, and then another in July. So without having the applications in front of me, Ms. Sturts, what I can tell you is that some of those on the list for approval tonight are the children of incoming teachers and faculty. Some of them are in situations where their families are building a home and they've they've presented a contract that says it'll be done in November, which we all know means, sorry, Mr. Evans, means April. And we don't want to do that to the student or the teachers, because it's better if they start the year with us. So those are some of the reasons why the students are on the list tonight. And when we meet, we have a little card that has the numbers in each grade level. So we're aware that even on the website it says like wait list or closed or things like that. So I can't remember exactly the situation about those kids, and I probably couldn't talk about it anyway, but there's a reason why they're going through in the first batch. Because we reviewed the second batch today, and I think we had 11 applications and we only approved 1.
So what is that, for 81 10th graders? What is that gonna look like for the classrooms? I mean, because I've seen some of the classrooms are not that big, for one, and if you have a class that, all 10th graders take, then that could make it really crowded, and it would be not beneficial to both teacher and student. What is that gonna bring our ratio to?
Well, adding only 1 student won't impact our ratio more than 1% because of 81 over 100 being less than 1%. But I understand your point. And part of that is as you go into middle and high school, and Dr. Daniel, please jump in if we need to. But it's divided into 4 classes instead of the 3 at the elementary school. So in the example you're giving with the 80, if we had, I don't know what the numbers look like, but if we had 20, 20, and 20, and 20, we'd have 20, 20, 20, and 21. Or, go ahead, tag.
So we would look at adding an additional section of English classes or science classes. We also have exceptionally small cohorts in 8th grade and 7th grade. So we may only need 2 sections in 1 grade level, and then we could expand to 4 sections in other grade levels. So the fact that we've got 6 through 12, we can adjust sections and teaching assignments a little more fluidly than in some other places. And it's still tight.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say like, everything's going to be like 15 kids.
And I get it that 1 doesn't necessarily change the ratio, but I feel like we're already over what we should be. Like we're already at 81, which for a class size of 1 that's very large.
Right.
So it's not just that 1, it's that, okay, but we're already bigger than we should be.
The other thing that happens too is, so is it our current 10th grade class, so they're moving into 11th grade?
For what? It's the
So
ninth going to 10th, it's huge, and then the 11th going to 12th is huge.
One of the things too, one of the other pieces that ends up happening too is we start getting students into regional programs, and so that then also starts kind of thinning out students, mainly in 11th grade and then especially again in 12th grade. And so there are other scheduling options that students kind of diffuse out from the building.
And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but there are also some tuition students that are not returning at the high school level. So you end up with some of those classes. And I think I said that about the sixth grade. But that's also the case with some of the high school classes, where some of those families are just not returning for whatever the reason may be, whether it's transportation or financial, and so the numbers will kind of level out. The administration is not as concerned about those numbers at this point. But when we get concerned, we put the brakes on it, and I think the board knows that when we feel like there's enough or too many, then we will stop accepting tuition students, and that will be early, and that can be early in the process.
I don't know if this is familiar, but it's a committee as well, and the 2 people that do the middle school and high school scheduling are on the committee. So they reminded us earlier today, that this class is tighter, this class, we're not going to take anymore. So today we did not accept 10, and we only approved 1. So it's something we talk about, like we don't take it lightly. It's very much a process. It didn't used to be. Right. So we're as concerned as you are, and we love West Point too. So we don't want to mess with quality either.
There are more ways to adjust the number of teaching sections and therefore class sizes at the secondary level than there are at the elementary
Absolutely.
in terms of expanding into teachers picking up a sixth period instructional class, and then just adjusting how many sections of sixth grade English versus seventh grade English and stuff like that. So there's a little more ways to shift things around, responsibilities and class sizes around.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other discussion? All right. We have a motion's been duly seconded. All in favor of approving tuition student requests, please say aye. Aye. All that oppose, motion carries. Informational items, delegations, Mr. Leach.
Your Honor.
So our next meeting will be June 20th here at the school board office.
I see.
I'll be at the beach. Just one first. Okay. So we'll have a quorum. Y'all will have a quorum. All right, anything else? We have a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Oh, yeah, anytime.